What's up guys, my name is Luke and welcome back to Motion Design. So I've been learning a bunch of Houdini recently, and one thing that I've done recently was I set a car on fire, and it was really complicated inside of Houdini, and I was like, what if we could do this in Cinema 4D? And we can do it in Cinema 4D. It's not to the same level that you can get, like, as at least with detail. You can't get the same level of detail like you would in Houdini, but I feel like we were able to get pretty close. I mean, you can kind of see right now I have up on screen kind of like what we're going to be doing inside of Cinema 4D. I think it's pretty close to the look that you would get in Houdini, but I think there's a lot more detail that you're able to get in Houdini and a lot more control. But if you don't have Houdini, this is a good workaround, and I feel like it looked pretty cool. So yeah, these project files will be up on my Patreon if you guys are interested in that. But if not, then I guess you can just follow along with this tutorial, and I hope you enjoy. But if you do, give it a like and subscribe. It does go a long way. And also comment, because that seems to help the algorithm. But yeah, let's get into it. Cool. Just gonna turn this off for now. Cool. So we have this car model over here. This is just a free model, like a photo scan model that I found online of just like a burned car. And this is gonna just work perfectly for what we're doing. You can use any object you want. I will link to this in the description if you guys want to follow along exactly, but you can use any object and it should still work the same. Cool. So let's set up our growing. So let's go here. Let's apply a vertex map. And then in our vertex map, let's turn on this use transfer. And let's go and create two sources. So let's make it about 10. And let's bring this up. I kind of want it to start from the side over here, and then also have another one. Don't forget to put it in here. And this other one, let's move inside. Let's see. We have to set this to max. Cool. There should be fine. Just two places. It can be kind of anywhere. Cool. Now let's go over here and set this to grow. I'm sure you guys have seen this a million times. This growing vertex map. I mean, it's like, I feel like every second tutorial has one of these in it. But hey, it's really useful and you're able to get some like really cool effects. So, you know, I can't even blame you. Cool. So that looks good. Let's go over here. Let's add a shader field. Let's change this to noise. And let's select a noise type. But we want something like, that looks good. This may make us 250 in the size. And let's set this to overlay. And now let's press play again. Looks good. I just want to amp this a bit so that we have a little bit more of broken space. I thought we would have a little bit more broken space. Maybe make this 150. Actually, I think that should be fine. Let's go to our freeze over here and let's set the string to about 5. So we get this kind of, that's more what I'm looking for. Something like that. I think that looks good. I'm going to make my time frame about 120, which is about 3 seconds. And yeah, I think that looks good. I like the growth. Let's just go into our shader field over here and also just turn on a bit of animation. Put it to like 0.5. And let's see. Yeah, I think it looks good. Maybe just one over here. Yeah, I think that looks fine for now. The nice thing about using the vertex map is that you can always update it later on, depending on the effects that you're trying to achieve. Cool, so let's go over here, say simulation, and let's go pyro emitter. Cool, so I'm gonna remove, actually no, we can leave the vertex map for now. Let's go and figure out how we want this to burn. If you had to press play right now, this is the effect that you're gonna get, and that's not a very nice, I mean, that doesn't look at all realistic. I mean, that's not how a burning car would look. So let's go and fix this. Cool, so I am going to go over here and change the density to about 5. Just to get a little bit less density. I also want to turn this thickness down to like 1. That's a little bit better. Maybe let's go 3 on the density over here. Yeah, I think that's fine for now. We can adjust this later on, depending on how it's going. And let's turn up the scale over here to actually 115. And let's set the animation speed to 1. Let's see if I can show you what this does. Yeah, so you can kind of see with these like hot spots over here, if I set this to 500, you'll see that we're getting it in different places. And this is just to give it a more realistic look with the way that like fire moves, because fire isn't just this constant stream. Usually there's like a bunch of movement to it. Cool, so let's maybe set it to like 115. Let's see. Yeah, I think maybe even 15. I don't know, do we get... Yeah, I think... Can we go with 100? Again, these are things that you can change later on, but I'm going to keep this for now. Cool, let's add back our density. Control force 3 or 5, but 3 seems to be fine for now. Cool. Don't worry, this looks like shit now. It'll get better. Let's go into our simulation settings and let's change this. So I'm going to put it to like 2.5 for now. I think when we get to the actual rendering stage and caching, we're going to do it at about 1 to 1.5, and you can obviously make it lower. But now while we're testing, I'm going to put 2.5. Cool. Let's go to our density here, and I want to set this dissipation to maybe like 9. What this means is that, let me show you, if I set this to 0, the smoke will never disappear. It will just stay thick and it will just go forever. But if we had to set this to something like 20, you'll see that the smoke comes and then it disappears quite quickly. So you can adjust these depending on the look that you're going for. Let's set it to something like 9. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Looking at like some references, there's usually not too much smoke. I mean, I guess sometimes there is. At least for my render, I don't want there to be too much smoke. I guess just a little bit less than what we usually have. Cool, so I think that works for now. Gives us a kind of natural feel to it. Let's go and see what this looks like. Also, sorry, temperature over here. I want to decrease this over here because this is a car on fire, not a car catching with smoke. So I want there to be more flames. So I'm going to turn this down a bit so that we have a little bit more fire. I think we'll adjust these again when we get to the rendering stage and seeing what it's looking like. But I think for now, this is fine. Let's see, is there anything else that we can change? Let's see if we bring down the object's fidelity. I think I adjusted this just a bit, just so that we get a little bit more randomness with the smoke itself. But I didn't want it to be too much because I did want to have control over where it was emitted using the vertex map. So I'm going to keep it at 34, might change it again. But yeah, so I mean, technically, if you don't want to grow, this could work right now as like a burning car effect, if that's what you wanted, but we're going to go and use our vertex map. Cool, so we can just put our vertex map, in the emission map over here, and now when we press play, we'll see it starts to grow. Cool, okay, actually, I think I want to remove this. I'd rather have control over it. Cool, it starts to grow here and here, and it starts spreading. Nice, that's exactly what we want. Cool, I'm just going to let this sim for a little bit just to see what it looks like, and then we can start refining the way that it looks. Cool, I like the way that this grows, it feels quite natural. Now let's go and set up a basic scene. Let's just set up a floor over here, and something like that, and just raise it up a bit. There we go. I also think I want to just go and use a linear field over here, change it to +y and change it like this. and I want to make a plus. Let's say to subtract. Okay, I'm just doing this so that it doesn't light on fire on the floor over here, just because I didn't really want it to. Cool, so now that we have that, let's just add in some lights over here, and let's start up our render. I'm just going to do a really basic lighting setup just so that we have something to look at. Let's go. Something like that, and then let's just make it quite dim. And then I also want to exclude it from the floor. So I'm not going to spend too much time on the lighting on this. I'll leave this up to you guys, but I just wanted there to be just a bit of lighting so that, you know, it catches on. But the main lighting is going to come from our fire itself. Let's just add one more to come from the front. Something like that, and I also want to exclude the floor. Let's bring this down, and also just maybe bring in the spread a bit. Yeah, something like that is fine. It's kind of moody, but we're not going to worry too much about that for now. Let's go and create a material, and let's create a pyro volume, and then we're going to apply our pyro volume to our pyro output over here. And then look, we have a car on fire, but this fire looks quite ass, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of it. Maybe we should use a HDRI. Actually, no, let's work on the fire for now. Cool, so this fire here is the default black body that comes with our pyro volume. So you can adjust the temperature over here, and you know, you can get different looks and increase the intensity, and you can adjust it like this. That's one way of doing it. I prefer to do it myself. So what I'm going to do is create a color ramp, and I'm just going to adjust this until it's something that I want, that I like. I like the way, I like how high these go, and looking at a lot of fire, at least fire that I quite like, a lot of it is kind of like more yellowy than like red. It's like a yellowy orange more than like red. I think that gives like a more realistic look over, you know, just like red fire. Yeah, that's looking nice. Let's just adjust it a bit more. Maybe a little bit more yellow. No, that's too much. A little bit more orange. Yeah, I think that has a more natural feel to it. Cool. So that's what we're going to use for the texture over here. Let's just go and increase our scale. This is just going to be how bright it is. Actually, yeah, let's do that. And then let's just adjust this a bit. Actually, I think let's use a light and physical sky. No, it's not physical sky. There we go. Sun and sky. Cool. Let's also just now adjust our smoke. So let's just bring this down. So it's like a dawn type look. And in our smoke over here, I'm going to go to the advanced tab over here, and I'm going to adjust the smoke using this min and max over here. You can see now by pushing this, we're able to get a lot more detail into our sim over here. Let's go and adjust this something like that, and just like that, so it's a little bit darker. The smoke is a little bit darker. I think that's looking quite nice. Now let's go and add some turbulence. So simulation. So the reason I'm adding turbulence is that when we press play over here, the way that these plumes come up, it's not very realistic to the way that fire would actually come up. We want to disturb it a little bit more. So let's go forces, turbulence, and I'm going to turn this actually quite high and make it quite small, because we want there to be quite a lot of movement in it. because, you know, it's like if you look at like cars catching on fire or just like any fire, it's never like this plume of smoke that goes up. There's always like a lot of movement and like turbulence in it. And just looking at this, in my opinion, this looks a lot more realistic. Cool. So that's the one. Let's go and add some wind now, just to give it a little bit more realism. I'm not just tuned like that. Let's set this to about 20. See how that looks. Obviously, you don't need to add wind. I would say that the turbulence does help a lot with the look, but wind, I don't think you really need to add it. For me, I just liked it the way that it kind of like wrapped over the car. It made the smoke kind of like wrap over the car, which I quite liked. I think I want to increase the speed of this growth so that by the end, there's a little bit more fire in the scene. Let's simulate this again. I might want to increase the growth even more. But for now, let's see what this is looking like. Or if it does this, it'll load in a few seconds. There we go. Actually, I quite like this. Now we have this big open area over here. So I'm quite happy with the way that the fire is looking, at least texture-wise, and the smoke. I might add a little bit more smoke. Let's go and add some more density over here. So just a quick thing when it comes to smoke. Fire density is the smoke and temperature is the flame. So the more temperature that you have, the more it will push the smoke up, and the less temperature you have, the less smoke will be pushed up. So you can kind of use that to kind of art direct your simulations. So I think this is looking fine. Let's do this again with a little bit more smoke and see if it gives us a better result. And then the only other thing that I really wouldn't do is just decrease the voxel size. Because at the moment, I mean, you can look over here and it's nice, but it looks very blocky, and, you know, fire doesn't look blocky. So we can just solve that by just adding in some voxels. I like this. I think the only problem with it is how fast it's dissipating. So let's maybe set this to 6. I'm just counteracting what I was doing earlier on in the video. But hey, that's what's kind of nice about these things, is the kind of creative control and kind of art directing how you want it. I mean, you think you want it one way, but now, you know, we're going with a different way. And I'm just kind of showing you guys how to do these and breaking down this process so that when you're doing your fire, you can kind of art direct that way that you want it to. Like, if you want more smoke, this is how you do it. If you want more temperature, this is how you do it. Yeah, damn, I should have paused at the end there. But let's let it resim. I'll stop yapping, and let's see. Cool. Luckily, these are simming quite fast, but it is at 2.5 voxels, so when we change it down to 1, it will go a lot slower. Okay, that's looking pretty cool. I think now I do like that there's more smoke. I just think that now the texture itself isn't doing a great job. So let's go over here and change these a bit. Actually, sorry, we need to go into the advanced over here and just bring this down. Something like that. I do think that we're seeing more of the smoke because of the actual lighting in the scene. So let's just reduce this a little bit more. I'm not going to spend time with the environment, anything like that. I'll leave that up to you guys. I'm just going to do a really basic lighting over here. Let's go 5 minus 0.2, and then I just want just that little gradient over there. I just think it looks kind of nice. And then also with these lights over here, I'm gonna remove it from the volume and maybe just keep it just a little bit. Actually, no, I kind of like the black smoke over there. Now let's just go, and I want to increase this maybe even a little bit higher. Yeah, let's see what this is looking like without that. Casting some light. I think the hotter you make it, the more light there'll be. I mean, if I change this to like 50, you'll see there's a lot more light that's being cast. Can I just do that and then bring this down a bit? I guess it kind of works, but yeah, we're losing a lot of the clarity. I'm gonna just go here, change the temperature to be a little bit warmer so it matches with the scene, and same with this one. Let's make this warmer over there. Cool, let's go over here, turn these off. Now look, we have a car on fire. I think the only thing I'm going to do over here is just reduce our voxel size, and let's just sim this again. Do I want to proceed maximum? That is annoying. Okay, let's set it to 1.5. But yeah, I mean, if you want to set it lower, just set it lower and then actually go over here and cache it. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I'm not really going to go and cache it. I think this works fine. Let's just give it a few more seconds, let it render. While this is going at it, one tip that I could give you is that if you want the simulation to be a little bit different, one thing that I did in my simulation was that in the turbulence over here, in the fields, I used the actual burn car as a field, set it to surface, and then just increase this by like 50. So what I'm doing by doing that, I might need to invert this, I can't remember, you have to test. But what I'm saying is that I want there to be turbulence only just above the car. So why I'm doing that is that usually when you look at like smoke simulations, at least like realistic ones, there's a lot of movement at the bottom where the flames are at. And then as they go up, there's not as much turbulence. And the reason for this is because, you know, the flames are actually pushing the smoke. And then once the flames aren't pushing the smoke anymore, now the smoke's just kind of like moving upwards compared to the way that we have it now, where it's just like turbulence that's being applied to the entire scene. We want to apply it to just that part. In Houdini, you can go and only apply turbulence to just the temperature. So that means that it's only the temperature that's getting disturbed, which will disturb the density, but as the density moves up, it's not getting disturbed anymore by the flames. And so that's kind of the cheat workaround that I did to get to this type of look. You don't have to do it, I mean, you can just leave it without, but I feel it sometimes works. Cool, so this looks pretty cool. I'm quite happy with this. So again, when you drop the voxel size down, it does affect the simulation. So now you might want to adjust things. Now you might want to be like, okay, cool, this is cool, but I want there to be more fire. I want there to be more smoke. And that's where you go in over here, increase the amount of smoke over here. You can increase the amount of temperature over here. And you just kind of art direct it to get to the point where you like what the scene looks like. So I'm not going to go in and do that. I kind of feel like I've shown you guys what all the different controls are that you need to get to the desired look that you want. So yeah, spend some time with this, play around, try different results, try different settings, you know, bump up the temperature to a really high number, or same with like the density, play around with the settings and just see what type of looks you get. I guess that's the fun thing about simulations, is constantly tweaking little settings, re-simulating and seeing what it does. But at least the nice thing with this is that now you will have a baseline of how to actually control things to get the desired look that you want. And look, just by changing that, we have a lot more fire now. And I think this looks really cool. I think the only thing that I would do with this is that I want there to be a bit more smoke, because now look, it looks like there's a lot more detail in the smoke now. Isn't that cool? But yeah, that will be it for today's tutorial. Okay, one more thing before we leave. Let me give you one more tip and trick. So inside of our material over here, I'm just going to do this really quickly. I don't want to make this video too long. Just let's go and search for a material blender. Grab this. Let's plug this back in here. Plug this over here. Let's search for a color correct mode. Put this in over here. Let's reduce our saturation and plug this in here. let's search for a vertex attribute, and let's plug this into our blend, and we're going to use our mask as the blending. And so now all I'm doing is that when the fire goes, as it spreads, I want it to kind of look burnt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it black and white and just kind of reduce this over here so it's like quite contrast as if it is burnt. And then the only other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to search for a Maxon noise, put this into the emission color, and then change this to a fire-like color to kind of give the effect. So let me show you. Let me just turn this off. Cool. It has grown a bit. Let me just make it go further. Okay, there we go. Cool. Now you can kind of see what I mean. That, okay, this doesn't look very realistic. Spend a little bit more time, you know, adjusting this, try different looks over here. I mean, actually that looks pretty cool. And let's maybe just make this like 2. And just like that, if we turn on our fire over here and resimulate, we can get a nice realistic kind of looking texture. Now as it grows, it burns the actual car, so it makes it black, and then also has the glow to it as if it is burning it. So yeah, it seems like it's fine. Just give it a little bit more time. I just want it to come to the front so we can actually see what it's doing. Cool. And now let's see what this looks like. And come on, fire. Nice. So you can see that we have that. I think it does very much look like noise. I spent a little bit more time just refining the way that the noise looks. But another thing that you could do is that you could go over here and change this to a blue type color. And then it can kind of, I mean, that looks terrible, to be honest. I think I did it in my render to kind of give the illusion as if it's, you know, when things are like really hot, it's like blue and then it goes to like this yellow orange. I kind of did this to that, but I think this noise doesn't work. But I more just wanted to show you that that is possible. Yeah, just mess around with it and I'm sure you'll be able to create something really cool. But yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I hope you learned something. I hope you learned a little bit more about Pyro and kind of understanding how Pyro works and how to use it to kind of art direct the simulations that you're wanting to do. But yeah, until next time, peace.